I'm Janice Edwards. Coming up on Signature Silicon Valley, we've got a really big show for you. We're starting off with Cinequest. We'll tell you all about what you can look forward to, and then Game On, preview of the Super Bowl, plus the Pro Speak Bureau. Dr. Joseph Bryant joins us, plus Matt Gutierrez, Dion Strother, and Doug Hawley. It's a great show, and it's starting now. Welcome to Signature Silicon Valley. I'm Janice Edwards. Thank you so much for joining us. Every year we get excited because the Cinequest Festival really lights up the theaters of San Jose. It lights up our lives with everything that goes on. We're excited because the CEO and founder, Haftan Hussey, has joined us today. Welcome. Nice to see you again.
Great to see you, Janice. Thank you.
Congratulations, 26 years.
It feels like the first year. I'm more excited than ever.
Yes,
yeah.
I know. Let's talk a little bit about how Cinequest began.
Well, it began because we had made an independent feature film, went to the Venice Film Festival, and we fell in love with the fact, my founding partner and I, that people love to get together around a common love of cinema. So you see people from all around the globe gathering and sharing ideas and connecting, and we said, let's do it here in the Silicon Valley and do it with technology as well as film.
Yes.
So yeah, that was it. Yeah.
And it's just grown since then. We're going to take a look at just a clip of This Is Cinequest.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cinequest. 700 artists are joining us from 50 different countries. We'll have 90, maybe 100,000 people from every walk of life, every culture, getting together here at Cinequest. Our amazing innovations that we're known about here in the Silicon Valley and that have been the position of Cinequest in the world of film will be on great display this year. When you think about the power of film, it surely does give us that way to reach out and understand people around the globe from walks of life far different than ours, people with different ideas, cultures, backgrounds, ages. And I was thinking, just imagine a world without filmed media. Would we really be as compassionate as we are today? Would we understand the world? Would we even talk about things like global society and social consciousness?
We had to convince the world that there was a better way. We knew that people are mobile. They want to move around while they communicate. And so, to convince the world, we created this phone. I hope I didn't hear any laughing among that cheering. Yes, this phone is a little large, and it weighed 2.5 pounds. The battery life was 20 minutes. That's not a problem. You couldn't hold it up for 20 minutes. So we have one other thing that you, the art intelligentsia, and we engineers have in common, and that is passion. How can you stand by for 20, 30, going on 40 years?
Well, if you've never been, after seeing that, you know you have to go, and every year it just expands. You offer opportunities for first-time filmmakers as well as veterans. How do you choose the films that you show?
Well, the theme is Maverick. That means people like the Silicon Valley, people that are innovative and bold and original and really get out there and do something that means something to us. So we pick young artists as well as the legends of film that really speak to that theme. And this year we have a great Maverick Spirit Award recipient, James Franco.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's an amazing young, but very Renaissance type of person.
He is.
Yes.
I mean, I know how he went back to school. He's done so many different things, and sometimes too in interviews, he's very present in his own way, but it's a little different from the standard interview. He's definitely connected in that way. So Maverick is a perfect description, I think, of James Franco.
Absolutely. He does things that are original in his own way, and he also gives back. He's only 37, but he's done an awful lot already. And he wants to give to people, so he's become a teacher in film schools as well as Palo Alto High School. And so we're going to be doing some special events around James Franco with youth and giving him our Maverick Spirit Award to recognize the innovative, maverick, original, and bold spirit that he is.
Yeah, that's amazing to think. If I'd had a teacher like James Franco, who knows what that would have inspired. And those kids are so lucky to be able to experience
exactly.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I love about the festival, because you have all of these different activities and opportunities to really have an intimate understanding and connection with someone who can change your life. So you had the idea, we talked about the genesis of it, but as the years have evolved, do you have some favorite moments that you look back and think of, wow, that was so exciting? I mean, you've had some of everyone that you've honored.
Well, yes, you mentioned the word connection. So my favorite moments are just that. And this year we have a theme of unite in a world that kind of has had some issues recently where we think about, let's take that person down or that person out. It's like unite, because film is about that. Let me understand you, you understand me. Maybe we forgive a little bit and we come together, because in the end, that's what a global society is all about, and film really speaks to that. But some of my favorite memories are the Congressional Medal of Honor winner that we have with the film called Conscientious Objector, Desmond Doss. I mean, he was a 101-year-old man that came out with the world premiere of this film about his life, and he spoke to that. Wow. He served in the military, but he was about people caring for each other. And so, there's a man that was a hero in World War II that said, we need to come together.
Yes.
And so that was one of my favorite moments of Cinequest, yeah.
It's amazing. You have done so much. So 26 years, and now your life has changed too. We were talking before the show that you're the father of a 2-year-old. So now that you have that perspective on life, has that changed any of your choices in films or anything in the way that you think about your work?
Well, it has. I mean, I've always believed that art is always about compassion and caring for people, and there's nothing like having a child to remind you of that, and to remind you about the fact that we're alive, and as people we have to connect and care for each other and be compassionate, and in the end that's what matters, right? I mean, it's a community. And through time, you asked me about through time, when we started Cinequest, it was all about making something great for people. Now it's about making something great and the community that gathers every year, the people that really make Cinequest, and I look so forward to that. And it's people from all walks of lives that make the community, and that's very special, especially in a world that's social media and technology. That's wonderful. But caring about people and coming together in a live situation is very important.
It truly is, because you always invited people from all over. We had our local community and the global community, and now with social media, there's so much of a connection. And so people come who started coming to Cinequest 10 years ago, and now they look forward to reuniting here too. So it's really expanded our community. So exciting. And we're so grateful to you. It's always wonderful. So thank you so much.
You're kind. Well, thank you.
Yes, well, we appreciate you very much. And we want to remind you of how you can enjoy Cinequest. There, you go online, we have the information on the screen, and then you can figure out where your films are, the different events to attend, and also new opportunities to connect as community. So thank you again.
Thank you, Janice. Yes.
Game on. Super Bowl fever is high, and Dr. Joseph Bryant is with us to talk about many new ventures, JBLC, Pro Speakers Bureau, so much. Thank you for being here. Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate it.
I was going to say you wear a lot of hats, but I'll say you wear a lot of helmets today. We are loving these. We want to keep them, but I guess that's not negotiable. Okay, all right. Well, good to have you back. Thank you so much for being here.
We appreciate it.
Let's talk about what's going on.
Sure.
JBLC.
JBLC, Joseph Bryant Life Coaching, and actually started off as my independent consulting that I was doing one-on-one with players and working with various sports organizations, agents, and some of the associations around all pro sports, Major League Baseball, football, and basketball, and doing life coaching in a lot of direction of people that needed some guidance, especially in transition from the playing days onto their next careers in life. And over a period of time, the numbers started getting bigger, the network started getting larger, and so JBLC, as an independent person myself, has become JBLC Sports Marketing. And so we're an entire consulting firm now, and we are able to do a much better job managing all the various pieces that we try to do to engage with players and to maximize their impact in life, both on and off the field.
Yes, it's amazing that you do that. And of course, one of your other vocations, your calling is as a minister. So that spiritual aspect is very important too. And I know we talked before about how you bring that into this work. So when you're working with athletes and you're talking with them about their life, both what they've experienced and what's to come, what do you find is the critical component that really helps them plan for success down the road?
Great question, and thank you for bringing up the spiritual aspect, because that's really where I started. I initially was just a spiritual advisor for players, and they would call for prayer or for guidance or for weddings or those kind of things. And over time, it just evolved because I saw the bandwidth of need that was surrounding them. So many things that they needed to have, and so few people to help them with the resources, the connections, the networks, the opportunity that they would need to not only transition, but a lot of times even in their playing days, they didn't have trusted advisors and trusted investors into who they were as people, not just as players. And so a lot of what I enjoy doing is talking to individual players and talking with their families about who they are as human beings, not just the person under the helmet or the person on the court or on the field, but there's so much more to their lives than who they are with that number on their back. And so the more we can talk about the reality of who they are, the more we can impact them. And not every athlete is open to that conversation. Not every athlete has thought about who they are outside of the uniform. They really see themselves as linked to being that person in the jersey and not realizing that there's so much more to them than that. So a part of my role is to really get them to think about their sense of value, their sense of purpose that goes beyond the field, and that playing a sport is just a part of who they are, but it does not totally define who they are. And then once we get to that piece, then we can help them transition their mindset, because it has to be the mind that transition before the rest of the player can.
Yes, and I'm so excited because the guests we have joining us in the next segments are some athletes that you've worked with, and
That's
we
right.
can't wait to talk with them. They're right here now too. But before we get to that, you do have a number of events. I'm looking forward to participating in one of them
absolutely.
for the Super Bowl, pre-Super Bowl event. So let's talk about February 4th and what people can look forward to.
February 4th is going to be wonderful. February 4th, 11:30, we're going to have a Super Bowl business luncheon and launch, His Lordship here in Berkeley. And it's going to be not only a celebration of Super Bowl, and we're going to have a salute to the 49ers. Of course, they're the home team, not in the game, of course, but they are the home team for the game. And so we're going to salute the 49ers. We're going to have members of the 49er championship teams that are going to be a part of the luncheon. We're going to have silent auction, and some of this memorabilia will be a part of the luncheon as well. Red carpet, which you will be hosting the red carpet for the event. But more than that, we're going to be launching ProSpeak, which is the network of athletes that are going to actually be motivational speakers. A lot of the athletes I've worked with over the years are men and women of great integrity, great character, and they have wonderful messages to give. Their stories, their journeys, their successes, the kind of things that they've accomplished really can translate into many parts of life, not just being an athlete, but businesses and young people and everyone in between can benefit from that. So ProSpeak is going to be a network where athletes will go around the country to colleges and corporations and businesses. My team will manage, JBLC Sports will manage the players and their engagement with the various corporations and companies that want them to come in and talk about teamwork and dedication and the kind of things that made them star athletes, allowed them to succeed on the field. They translate into the boardroom, they translate into the schoolroom. And so to allow ProSpeak to have that kind of influence and impact, I'm really excited about it, because I know a lot of these players want to utilize their platform and their brand to impact people's lives. Now they're not playing, now that they see the value of who they are, they can have such a great impact on people's lives. And so we're going to launch ProSpeak, and we're all looking forward to it.
Yes, looking forward to that as well. And another event that you have coming up after the February 4th one?
After the February 4th, well, we are going to have a charity event on February 5th. We are partnering with Kiki Shepard, formerly of the Showtime at the Apollo show, and her wonderful foundation that is a health advocacy supporting sickle cell patients and those that are in need of service and their families. And so her foundation, along with a couple of other local foundations, we're going to participate in their bowling event. It's going to be on the 5th of February at Sea Bowl in Pacifica from 1 to 4. And she's bringing some Hollywood celebs and entertainers up from Southern California, plus the athletes that are coming that are part of ProSpeak and some of our partner groups, NFLPA, NFL alumni, and other organizations that'll participate. Local media will will be there as well. And all this information is on our new website, jblcsports.com. I'm really excited about that as well, so we can have one-stop shop for everything that we're doing for the Super Bowl. We'll have some memorabilia actually on the website as well. And both events are going to have some nice giveaways and some treats and trinkets. So people are going to have a good time both at the luncheon and at the bowling event.
Yes, looking forward to that. And we're going to put that information on our screen now. And then we're going to continue. While you take a look at that, we'll be back with more with Dr. Joseph Bryant and some celebrity guests. Continuing our conversation with Dr. Joseph Bryant, now Matt Gutierrez and Dion Strother have joined us. Welcome. We're excited to have you with us. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Bryant, how did you meet these gentlemen?
Well, both of these guys have just been amazing to know. Both of these wonderful former athletes who both look like they can still play.
I know, they're in great shape.
I met Dion about 3 years ago at a Pro Athlete Business Group event. That's one of the organizations that I've been advisor for years. And there was an event, and he was there, and he was bringing his business to the event, and he made a wonderful presentation, and I just thought, this guy's brilliant. He's smart, he's articulate, and is doing some great work. I'd like to get to know more about his business and see how I can support him, be involved with what he's doing, and we met over breakfast, and since then we've just been joined at the hip and going around the country, just supporting each other.
Wow, that's awesome. And Matt?
Matt, we had a mutual friend call a meeting, and we didn't know who all was going to be at the meeting. I don't think he knew, I didn't know, and the mutual friend didn't know, and another player was with us as well. And we all met up in downtown San Francisco and had lunch. And listening to Matt talk about the transition into retirement and really hearing his passion to want to do something that was impactful and meaningful and significant as a transitioning player and still young, still full of life, still strong acumen. I was just really moved by listening to him. And so we talked about some of the work that I do with athletes in transition and some of the connections that I had in business. And so I wanted to do whatever I could to support where he was planning to go. He was already on the path, and I just wanted to see if I could enhance things and make it a little bit better for him. And so it's been great working with him as well. And he's done some speaking with us at some different events as well. And he's just an awesome influence on young people as well. I just really admire Matt a whole lot.
Matt, at what point in your career did you decide to start preparing for retirement, and what was that thought process like for you?
Yeah, I didn't start soon enough. I don't think you ever. I don't think you ever really can. I didn't know what I didn't know. I always just thought, hey, I'm a University of Michigan graduate. I have a degree. I believe that I'm a fairly smart guy, and that I would figure it out. But what I would encourage any athlete to do, no matter what age, is start thinking about who you are outside of being an athlete. Because even though I thought about it, early, I guess, when I was in high school, I thought about it a bit, and throughout my career, I didn't think about it enough. And there is a huge learning curve when you come out of the sports world and you try to enter the business world. In a lot of ways, you're behind. Your peers in the business world now have already been there 7, 8 years, depending on how long you were fortunate enough to play. So you can never start too early.
Dion, what did you learn once you became an entrepreneur, and how did what you learned as an athlete serve you in that?
Well, I was fortunate enough to have a mother that was an entrepreneur. She's had her own business all my life. So I kind of grew up in her shadow and learning and being a part of an entrepreneur mindset. And I think more than anything, that's kind of the key, and that's what helps the transition. So I came through school and through college already knowing that I wanted to have my own business. I wanted to be in control of my own time. I really value her ability to be a part of my life and have the control, the control and freedom that she had to be a part of what I was doing and helping me and guiding me and directing me. And so the marrying entrepreneurism along with being an athlete and all the things that we learn, it's a total transition. You just kind of have to open your eyes up to see that more than anything, again, is that mindset, that winning mentality, and moving forward up to the next play, as you would say, as an athlete. No matter what happened at last play, hey, let's move forward. We still in this thing. Let's win. So
that mindset is still what you get up with in the morning, it sounds like, and you have that even though it's different when you don't have the people cheering you on quite in the same way, right? That must take a little bit of getting used to. Yeah.
No doubt.
It does. One of the things that now you just have to find a different why, a different reason why. And as you transition, a lot of us begin to build families and different things like that. So the motivation is already there. It may not be so much as maybe the love of the game or financial gain, but now you're saying, hey, I need to create a legacy. I need to make it a better way for those that I brought into this world and then for the community as well. So you just change your why, but the motivation is always there.
Yeah. And Dr. Bryant, we see the story, sadly, of some of your colleagues who don't transition well and have a number of problems with that. So when you meet someone, are there some general things you make sure that they keep in mind? I mean, it sounds like just your sense of self that you two clearly had anyway. You said you didn't start early enough in terms of maybe entrepreneurship, but in terms of who you are, you were always clear about that. But I think that must be one of the hardest things for people to hold on to when you transition.
One of the things that I really admired about Matt when we first met was his openness to thinking wider about his personality, his character, and really his scope of life. Most athletes aren't willing to have that conversation, aren't open to really looking at themselves as a person of value and all the things that are on the plate of life before them. And I think he was a great example of someone who was willing to think that way. I'm more than just a football player. I'm more than just an ex-athlete. As Dion alluded, being a husband and a father, it matters. But listening to both of these gentlemen talk about their sense of purpose and talk about what they wanted to do, where they wanted to go, and listening to them talk about business. Both of these gentlemen are businessmen, and both of them have had experiences in business and doing different things in the business world. And we've had a chance to network in business settings, whether on this coast, East Coast, in New York. We were all in New York together. And so being open to the conversation of where do you want your life to go and who are you really behind the mask or behind the helmet is really important for any athlete to do.
Yes. Kenny, on training, quickly before we go, you wanted to talk about
Sure, yeah. We serve about 70 high school age boys from all over Northern California, all the way up near Sacramento down to San Jose and everything in between. We use football to bait them in. It was founded by one of my high school teammates and one of my best friends, and a few of our other buddies from high school help run the organization. So we pull them in with that, and then we try to support them wherever they need it: academics, home life, character building, and just try to pay it forward a little bit. We had great opportunities, and we want them to have the same type of opportunity.
Well, that is great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
if you'd like more information about all that you've heard in this segment, the details are on our screen. And continuing our conversation with Dr. Joseph Bryant, now the famous Doug Hawley has joined us.
Wow.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us as well. So you two have a long-term relationship rapport. We were chatting a little bit before the segment started, but let's talk about how you two met.
Well, I guess over the years, we've run in similar circles because, working with former athletes and him being so entrenched in the lives of so many athletes, he's supporting organizations, he's speaking at conferences, he's going around the country. And so I've been a fan of his, and I've watched how he's impacted so many of his colleagues. And one year we just decided, hey, we need to do more things together. And so as president of the NFLPA Northern California, I'm just a big fan of him.
For everyone who doesn't know what NFLPA is.
National Football League, Players Association. He is the president of the retired version of that here in Northern California and expands all over the Western region. And I'm just so excited that he supports the kind of things that I'm trying to do to impact players because he knows the value of it. And at the same time, he's a great model that I can point other athletes to and say, hey, talk to Uncle Doug when you need some help.
Right. And when they need help, Uncle Doug, what do they tell you?
It varies. It varies. One thing I pride myself on is we have what you call a date night with our daughters.
Oh,
and
nice.
My brother here and my daughter and his daughter went out to see Cinderella.
Oh.
It was, my daughter, she still has that child, even though she's getting married in May. But she really enjoyed herself. So whatever the issue is pertaining to union dues or union issues, the guys come to me. If it could be medical, financial help, your education, the Player Association, we pay for all that and the system with that.
Wow, that's wonderful. And when you talk about the daddy-daughter, that sounds wonderful. I would have loved to have done something like that with my dad if he were still with us. Relationships and forming relationships when you've been a star athlete, sometimes it's a different world when you're no longer playing. And I think probably negotiating relationships, marital, father-daughter, father-son, takes a bit of negotiating. What have you found to be very effective?
Well, for me, I always tell guys that if don't get married while you're playing. Wait till you finish retire when you're tired and the dating scene
you're
is
upsetting a lot of girlfriends right now. You know that.
I kind of encourage them. Just wait. Wait when it's over with and you got yourself together. Then go ahead and get married. Now, some guys don't want to wait, and you have hardships along the way. Then that's when the counseling side come into effect.
Is that because of all the groupies? Because of the intensity
Well,
of the
you
game?
got the groupies, you got mental health issues, you got a variety of colors.
And just the demands of being a pro athlete. I mean,
Right.
your whole life is that. And so it's really hard to nurture a family in that setting. And so, the advice is really sound in the sense that you can't give all that you would want to give to your family while you're still playing. And so that's the reason why. It has nothing to do with the wonderful women that they're with.
Right.
Has more to do with the reality. And Doug has, lived it obviously as a star athlete in college and in the NFL. He knows about those demands and what it requires to be the best you can be. And because he values family, it just makes sense that that's the kind of, encouragements that we can give to some of the guys that are open to it.
Makes sense. And then when it comes to financial planning, that seems to be one of the key things. Did you feel that you had the right understanding of what to do to prepare for the future while you were playing?
Well, for me, it wasn't, the tools wasn't given to me till later on in life. Your biggest enemy is your family. And because your family going to pull on you cookie and brother cornbread and sister collard greens and you name it, they come in and pulling trying to get what they want out of you. I remember when. What did you remember? Because I don't remember.
Remember when they helped you, so now that you're making big
right,
bucks.
but I don't remember that.
I
So then I encourage a lot of guys, if your mother got bills, pay the bills off and then move on. But you got to focus on you.
I see.
Right.
Now that's a tough one. I mean, that's a tough one for anybody.
Yeah, right.
But especially when those dynamics are there, and then you're the hope of the family. Many times, people have invested in seeing you go forward. So to pull that energy toward yourself, direct it in a way that really gives you a foundation for the future, is what you help people with.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Doug also helps them to know that there are resources available, that a lot of I didn't realize how many players didn't know about things like the NFL Trust and different things that support. Talk a little bit about the support that's there.
Well, currently we have 20 guys in our chapter that went back to school, either getting an undergrad or getting their master's. A couple of them getting a teacher credential that we're paying for. A lot of guys didn't know that.
Right.
And so I'm here to feed the information over to them to make sure they take advantage of everything that is available for them. This is a tough job that we done. Some years ago, it was a survey done of the stressful jobs in America. Professional football players is number 5 of all the top 10 jobs. Of course, the presidents and the surgeon, but we was number 5 as a stressful job because you're constantly competing against someone else to save your job.
Right, and plus the injuries. I mean, the movie Concussion has really shown a light on that in certain ways, but just other medical concerns.
Yes,
That alone,
yes,
knowing every day when you go out,
Right.
something can change your life in an instant.
Correct.
right.
Well, there's an
That's
old
right.
saying we used to say, you can't make the club in the tub. So that means ice tub. You whatever injuries you have, you better spit on it or wrap it up, and you got to get out there and save your job.
Wow.
Because the next man is trying to take your food off the table.
Right.
So it's very tense and and rewarding at the end.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, lots of great advice. I'm so glad that you were able to join us. Thank you for bringing everyone here today.
Thank you so much for
excited-
having us.
We're excited about the Super Bowl. We're excited about the Pro Speaker Bureau and everything that JBLC is doing. So
We appreciate you so
wonderful
much.
to meet you. Appreciate you too.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you so much for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed our show. I'm Janice Edwards. This is Signature Silicon Valley. Thank you for putting your signature on our valley. Please join us again next time.